Hello, everybody, and welcome back to TARTLEcast. Today, we want to talk about something that was just published in Cambridge University Press, specifically the International Journal of Astrobiology. And it was a paper written on intelligence is a planetary scale process. So, let me give you a little context here. We have this thing that many scientists work at called SETI, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. So they look with satellites and radar telescopes into the universe, looking at exoplanets and seeing if there are signals that are being given off that would denote some portion of technological advancement to say that maybe there's life out there or, biological advancement. Well, what's interesting is that there was a paper written by, a group of astrobiologists that came to the idea that systems of planets are intelligent in the fact that if you start to look at the biosphere and the technosphere, so essentially satellites floating in space or technology that is visible in forms of light coming off of a planet, that dependent on how the atmosphere has developed over time, so would determine the level of technological evolution. So let me give you a little clarity to this. Do you remember chlorofluorocarbons? We got aerosols coming out, we
Right.
got, air conditioners in homes. We're starting to generate our own microclimates, but from that, it's destroying our ozone.
Mhm.
Well, that would tell me that if I have a rise in chlorofluorocarbons or methane like CH4 or carbon dioxide, that there's an immaturity to the biosphere itself. There's some sort of technology that is throwing off the natural planetary biochemical evolution because there's a technological evolution that is throwing out of its statistical norm where that atmosphere should be.
Right.
Now, something that becomes very mature in its technosphere starts to recognize, like we have, with the onset of climate change, right? Global warming, increase in carbon and methane and, CFCs of the sort, that we need to decrease those things. So more advanced, technologically advanced civilizations will still have these forms of technological and industrial waste that are cohabitated with the natural biological and biochemical systems of a planet, but they're going to be more statistically normalized. So these astrobiologists are now looking at data of the combination of multi-level networks, the network between technology, plants, animals, flora, fauna, geological timelines, the combination of how these things are actually evolving now all at the same time as this combined network of planetary intelligence. And the intelligence comes from the fact where humans will use technology to start to wrap themselves into, or any sort of extraterrestrial will wrap themselves into how the planet starts to function. So it's rather than us living on top of the planet, we start to live with the planet. Does that make
Mm,
sense?
yeah, and I think I like when I read this, I didn't read the paper. I read the article. You read the
Hmm.
paper, the actual paper, scientific paper. For me, it was remove humans. Do you still have a sentient planet
Yeah.
based off of its evolutionary systems that are in place? Like when we had our guest on, where she talked about how trees communicate to each other. Are
Correct.
you at orcas, how they communicate with each other and they have languages, and they just found out that they can speak dolphin. So dolphins and orcas can talk to each other, and they can learn languages really easy. So all these things, it's like, and then you have elephants that can hear sound vibration, and I'm just not talking about the animal kingdom. We can get into bacteria. I mean, the list goes on and on. So is the planet its own sentient being? When we talk about AI being that, but is our planet that?
Well, think about it. The planet is one giant organism. It has crust or skin like us. It has an internal thermogenic, heat system like us that keeps us warm, right? It has bacteria on its surface like us. It has trees like hair, water like veins, all those things. It's a great metaphor for it. And so there's so many unique systems that allow us to exist as human beings. There's so
Right.
many unique systems and intelligence of its own network of biochemical, biological, geological factors that come together and allow that thing to exist in its own neural network of intelligence, right? If trees are communicating, everything's communicating, right? There's a
Right.
balance to life. There are these flows. They saw that when they introduced, wolves back into Yellowstone. All of these things come together and have a specific place and processes that allow the system or the total organism to survive. And if those weren't there, it would all be a die. But the thing here in the paper that's missed is that it's the idea that when things evolve, they destroy their planet. And they're looking at the level of evolution that all other planets that are technologically evolved have some sort of climate crisis. And so they would assume that the model that they have is fundamentally founded on the fact that there's a problem with the atmosphere and the destruction of species and other flora and fauna that technology would have to solve to then determine that something is technologically advanced. Why do you have to kill something first and then try and solve your way out of it to be termed as advanced, right? Why do I
well,
have to
well,
drop a
my
nuke before I'm advanced?
100%. And my thing is like, if the planet is sentient, as we with AI, then we want to give robots and stuff rights. Then what type of rights does humans have with the planet? And then if we look at that, what type of law should be created to protect that sentient planet?
Yeah, and right now we just take from it.
That's all
We
we
take
do.
from the we take from the earth constantly. We take from the thing that allows us to exist. That's foolish. We
And
poison.
we use it. We use it. Um, it'd be like going to a casino and rigging the system so that you win constantly, and the
Mhm.
casino just loses every time. What's
Yeah,
going to eventually happen? You're not going to have a casino.
casino won't exist. People don't realize that when you poison the earth, you poison yourself. Do you know what an arrow hormone is?
I've heard of it, but go ahead and explain it so I have clarity on it.
Yeah, sure. There are certain things we have created through our chemical processes that exist forever on this planet. They don't organically break down these compounds, like PCBs, things that you find in old transformers. These
Like
chemicals.
Bumblebee,
No, 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 no. These
like
are
old
like,
Transformers, like
oh yeah, yeah,
Transformers more
yeah.
than yeah. Like Bumblebee, isn't he an old one?
Yes, yes. But these, because we've poisoned the earth with our chemical processes, it's in our food, it's in the air, and there are things that disrupt the hormone function of our body because these inorganic compounds that don't break down latch onto our genetic material, put stress on our organs. And so it's interesting that the growth in our technology has actually killed us in many different formats because
Mm.
we didn't look to balance what we were creating with how nature actually thrives. And these things are going to be around for a very, 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 very long time. And it's going to do a demise to us for a very long time. And it's important that we look at, if we're just all trying to do better for our bodies, get healthier, take care of ourselves, you have to take care of the planet at the same time. Because if you don't, the things that you can't see are still detrimentally affecting your health and others at the same point. And technology is not going to solve that. It's about choosing to not use certain technologies, choosing to essentially reframe and rework how it is we actually operate with this planetary intelligence that allows us to thrive, as a parasitic form currently on top of the earth. We know we can't be parasitic going forward. We need to move to a point where we are symbiotic with the planet, right? Rather than taking from it, because we will kill the thing that gives us life. So, in terms of planetary intelligence, yes, we just haven't respected it. We give more respect to AI systems than we do to the planet itself. We give more respect to technology than to our own well being. And that is something that is going to be very difficult for us to unlearn. And we have to make sure we lay the correct foundation stones right now that is more truthful, one that is better for our own human evolution that aligns with planetary evolution.